Listen closely, my friends. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, before the coffee brews, before the notifications flood your screen, you have already decided what kind of person you will be today. Not consciously, not deliberately, but through habit, through default, through the accumulated weight of every morning you never chose. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to their alarm, reacting to their boss, reacting to their fears. They call this living. The Stoics called it sleepwalking. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, commander of legions, master of the known world, woke up every single morning and fought the same war, not against barbarians, not against senators, against himself. He wrote in his private journal, words never meant for public eyes. At dawn, when you rise reluctantly, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being. He had to remind himself. The most powerful man on earth had to remind himself why to get out of bed. Because the battle is not out there. The battle has always been in here. Today I am going to give you 7 lines. Not affirmations, not feel-good quotes. 7 philosophical weapons, forged in the furnace of Stoic thought, tested across centuries of war, exile, slavery, and empire. That, if you say them every single morning with full understanding of what they mean, will not just change your day. They will dismantle who you were and rebuild who you were meant to be. But I need you to stay with me, because these are not 7 simple sentences. Behind each line is a philosophy, a framework, a way of seeing the world that took the greatest minds in human history decades to articulate. I am going to give it to you in one sitting, so settle in. This is going to take time. Great things always do. Why the morning is a battlefield. Before we get to the 7 lines, you need to understand something that most people never grasp. The morning is not a gentle beginning. It is a negotiation. A negotiation between who you were yesterday and who you are capable of becoming. Every single morning, 2 forces meet inside you. The first force is inertia, the gravitational pull of your habits, your comfort, your old identity. It whispers, stay, rest. It can wait. You are fine as you are. The second force is virtue, the part of you that knows you were built for more, that knows comfort is a slow death, that knows the unexamined life leads nowhere worth going. The Stoics understood this war better than anyone. Epictetus, born a slave, rose to become one of the most influential philosophers who ever lived, taught his students that the very first act of philosophy is waking up. Not waking up physically, waking up mentally. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Notice what he puts first. Not action, not productivity, not a morning routine. Identity. First say to yourself what you would be. Before you do anything, before you check your phone, before you eat, before you speak to another human being, you must declare who you are. Because if you do not declare it, the world will declare it for you. Now, some of you might be skeptical, and I respect that. You're thinking, this sounds like motivational fluff. Saying words in the morning doesn't actually change anything. Let me address that directly. The Stoics were not mystics. They were not asking you to believe in magic. They were philosophers, yes, but also engineers of the human mind. What they understood intuitively, modern neuroscience has now confirmed. The first 20 minutes after waking are the most neurologically powerful moments of your day. Your brain transitions from theta wave activity, the drowsy, dreamlike state, to alpha waves, which represent a calm, receptive, highly programmable mental state. In this window, your critical filter, the part of your mind that evaluates, judges, and resists new information, is at its weakest. What you feed your mind in this window does not just influence your mood. It literally shapes your neural pathways. The thoughts you repeat become the roads your brain defaults to. The words you say to yourself become the unconscious scripts that run your behavior all day long. The Stoics called this prosoche, the practice of attention to oneself. Marcus Aurelius practiced it every morning through journaling. Epictetus taught it as the foundation of all philosophy. Seneca built his entire morning around letters and reflection. They were not doing this because it felt nice. They were doing this because it worked. Line 1. I am the author of my reactions. Nothing outside me has power unless I grant it. Read that again. I am the author of my reactions. Nothing outside me has power unless I grant it. This is not a comforting thought. This is a radical claim about the nature of reality, because it means that every time you have felt hurt, every time you have felt angry, every time you have felt small or powerless or overwhelmed, that response was not done to you. It was authored by you. Now, I need to be careful here, because this idea is wildly misunderstood. The Stoics were not saying your feelings are wrong. They were not telling you to be cold, to be robotic, to suppress emotion. Marcus Aurelius wept when his children died. Seneca grieved openly. Epictetus lived in chains. They were human. They felt everything. But they made one distinction that changed everything. The distinction between the impression and the assent. Epictetus laid this out with surgical precision. He said, "Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things." Here is what he means. An event happens in the world. Let's say someone insults you. Marcus Aurelius had perhaps the hardest job in the world when it came to controlling reactions. He was emperor, surrounded by flatterers, schemers, betrayers, cowards dressed as advisors. He had generals who failed him, senators who plotted against him, even family members who disappointed him. And yet, the Meditations, his private journal found after his death, reveals a man in constant, disciplined practice of this exact principle. He writes to himself over and over, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This is not pessimism. This is premeditation. He is preparing himself in advance to not be surprised, not to be triggered, not to react from impulse. Because a man who has already anticipated difficulty is a man who has already won the first battle. He continues, "But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine." He doesn't just control his reaction. He reframes the person causing difficulty as a fellow human being, struggling with their own darkness. This is the full practice, not suppression, transformation. When you say, "I am the author of my reactions. Nothing outside me has power unless I grant it," do not say it quickly. Do not say it like a checkbox. Sit with it for 60 seconds. Think of the specific person or situation in your life right now that triggers you most. Your difficult colleague, your frustrating relationship, your own self-doubt. Hold that image. Feel the familiar pull of reaction. And then say the line again. You are the author, not the victim of circumstance, the author. Authors decide what happens in the story. Line 2. I will guard my attention as my most finite resource. We talk about time as if it is our most valuable resource. And yes, time matters. But the Stoics understood something more subtle. You can have all the time in the world and still waste your life if you cannot control where your attention goes. Attention is prior to time, because a life is not measured in hours. It is measured in what those hours were spent on, specifically what you were thinking about during those hours. Seneca, perhaps the sharpest mind in the Stoic tradition, wrote one of the most devastating critiques of distraction ever put to paper. In his essay on the shortness of life, he writes, "It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. Life is long enough, and it has been given in sufficiently generous measure to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things, if the whole of it is well invested." He wrote this 2,000 years ago, before smartphones, before social media, before 24-hour news cycles and infinite scroll and notification badges designed by billion-dollar teams of behavioral psychologists to hijack your attention. If Seneca was disturbed by the distractions of ancient Rome, what would he say about your morning? Here is what the Stoics teach about attention that most people completely miss. Attention is not neutral. It is formative. What you repeatedly attend to shapes your character, not just your mood, your character. Marcus Aurelius writes, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Read that again slowly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. He is not speaking metaphorically. He is making a philosophical claim. You become what you consistently think about. If you spend your mornings scrolling through outrage, your soul becomes dyed in anxiety. If you spend your mornings in gossip, your character absorbs pettiness. If you spend your mornings in shallow distraction, your capacity for depth atrophies. But if you spend your mornings in deliberate reflection, asking what matters, directing your mind toward virtue, your soul slowly absorbs those colors too. The Stoics had a specific word for the commanding faculty of the mind, the part that chooses where attention goes. They called it hegemonikon, the ruling part of the soul. This was not a mystical concept, it was a practical one. The hegemonikon is the part of you that can stand back from your impulses, your emotions, your habits, and make a sovereign choice about where to direct your mental energy. Epictetus taught that the entire project of philosophy is the cultivation and strengthening of this faculty. He writes, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." But notice, before you can wish things as they are, you have to first notice how you are responding to them. You have to catch yourself. You have to be aware of where your attention has drifted. That requires a trained hegemonikon, and you train it every morning by choosing, deliberately and consciously, what you attend to first. I want to spend a moment being very direct with you about something. There is a war being waged on your attention. Every app on your phone, every notification, every algorithmically curated feed, every autoplay video. These are weapons in a war you did not consent to fighting. And the battlefield is your mind. The people building these systems understand something Seneca wrote 2,000 years ago. Captured attention is the most valuable thing in the world. They know that if they can steal the first 20 minutes of your day, the most neurologically fertile, programmable moments of your entire day, they have effectively decided what kind of person you will be. Not them consciously, not as some conspiracy, but structurally, systematically, through the invisible logic of algorithms designed to maximize engagement at the cost of your sovereignty. The Stoic answer to this is not Luddism. It is not throwing away your phone. The Stoic answer is the deliberate morning, a morning where your hegemonikon is activated before anyone else gets access to it, where you have guarded your attention the way a soldier guards the gate of a fortress. When you say, "I will guard my attention as my most finite resource," make it a declaration of war. Name specifically what will compete for your attention today. Name the apps, name the conversations, name the anxieties. And then, before you do anything else, spend 5 minutes directing your attention deliberately. A page of journaling, a moment of reflection, a single focused thought about what matters most today. Guard the gate before the siege begins. Line 3. I choose voluntary difficulty. I am not made for ease. I am made for excellence. This is the line most people will resist, because it asks something most morning routines never ask. Not just that you face the hard things when they come, but that you actively seek difficulty, voluntarily, before you have to. What is voluntary difficulty? The Stoics practiced something they called ascesis, a Greek word that means training or discipline. It is the root of the word ascetic, and it involved deliberately choosing experiences that were harder, colder, more uncomfortable, more austere than they needed to be. Seneca describes this in a letter to his friend Lucilius. He would periodically live for several days on the coarsest, cheapest food, wear the roughest clothing, sleep without luxury. Not because he was poor, he was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, not as punishment, but as philosophical training. He writes, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared? Is this the condition I feared?" He is rehearsing hardship, proving to himself repeatedly, voluntarily, preventively, that he can handle more than comfort has trained him to believe. Why comfort is a philosophical danger? Here is something the modern world has completely forgotten. Comfort, pursued as an end in itself, is a form of philosophical corruption. Not physical comfort necessarily, not rest or warmth or beauty, but comfort as a goal, as the measure of a life well lived. The Stoics would look at modern culture, the obsession with optimization for ease, with removing friction from every experience, with the endless pursuit of convenience, and they would be alarmed. Not because they were ascetics who hated pleasure, but because they understood something subtle and dangerous. The more you optimize for comfort, the more uncomfortable discomfort becomes. Every time you avoid a difficult conversations become harder to have. Every time you quit when things get hard, quitting becomes your reflex. Every time you choose the easier path, the harder path feels more like a threat. Slowly, invisibly, comfort narrows your world until you are capable only of what is easy. And a person who is capable only of what is easy is a person who is at the mercy of the world. Because the world, as Marcus Aurelius knew intimately, is not built for your ease. There is a passage in the Meditations that I find extraordinarily moving. Marcus Aurelius is talking to himself. Remember, this was never meant to be published. And he catches himself wanting to stay in bed. The Emperor of Rome, the man with more power than any other human alive, lying in bed, not wanting to get up. And he writes to himself, "Is it your profession to lounge in bed or to be in action? See how plants, sparrows, ants, spiders, bees, all perform their work and cooperate in order. Are you unwilling to do the work of a human being?" He calls himself out, directly, without mercy. Are you unwilling to do the work of a human being? He understood that the pull toward ease is not just laziness. It is a philosophical threat. It is the part of us that would rather sleep than become. And he fought it every morning, not because he was naturally disciplined, but because he had trained himself, through years of practice, to choose voluntary difficulty over comfort, not as punishment, but because he had discovered something the comfortable life can never reveal. The best version of yourself only exists beyond your comfort zone. Here is the Stoic claim at the heart of line 3. Human beings are not built for ease. We are built for arete, the Greek concept of excellence, of functioning at the highest level of your capacity. Arete is not a standard you meet once. It is not an achievement you unlock. It is a continuous act, a daily choice, an ongoing commitment to functioning as a fully realized human being rather than a comfortable but diminished one. The Stoics believed that humans occupy a unique place in the natural order. We are the only creatures capable of reasoning about our own purpose, of asking why we are here and whether we are living up to it. That capacity is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. To waste it in the pursuit of comfort, to live a soft, undirected, reactive life when you are capable of a hard, deliberate, excellent one. The Stoics would say this is not just a lifestyle choice, it is a failure of your nature. When you say, "I choose voluntary difficulty," I am not made for ease, I am made for excellence. Name one specific hard thing you have been avoiding, one difficult conversation, one discipline you have been postponing, one uncomfortable truth you have not yet faced, and commit to taking one step toward it today, not solving it, not finishing it. One step. Because every act of voluntary difficulty is a vote for the person you are capable of becoming. Line 4. This moment is enough. I release the past and refuse to fear the future. We have talked about control, about attention, about difficulty. Now we need to talk about time. Not productivity, not schedules, but your actual relationship with time, the way your mind moves through past and future, and what that movement costs you. The Stoics had a remarkably clear diagnosis of why human beings suffer. Not because the world is cruel, though it sometimes is. Not because life is unfair, though it sometimes is, but because of two habits of mind that almost every person in every era shares: regret for the past, anxiety about the future. We drag the weight of things that cannot be changed. We fear the arrival of things that have not yet arrived. And in doing so, we miss the only moment that actually exists. Now, Epictetus writes, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." Marcus Aurelius is even more direct. Confine yourself to the present, not as a spiritual slogan, as a philosophical imperative. Here is something worth sitting with. Most people have never fully inhabited a present moment in their adult lives. They are physically present but mentally absent, running simulations of past conversations they wish had gone differently, projecting catastrophes onto futures that may never arrive. The psychological term for this is rumination, and research suggests that the human mind is wandering from the present moment roughly 47% of waking time. Nearly half your life is lived in moments that do not exist. The Stoics would not be surprised by this statistic. They observed the same tendency 2,000 years ago and built an entire philosophical practice around combating it. They called it prososh, attention to the present, the cultivation of full awareness of what is happening right now, in this breath, in this moment. Not as mysticism, not as meditation for its own sake, but because the Stoics understood that virtue can only be practiced in the present. You cannot be courageous in a memory. You cannot practice wisdom in a hypothetical future. You can only act, only choose, only be, right now. Now I want to introduce a concept that sounds dark, but is, in truth, one of the most liberating ideas in human philosophy. Memento mori, Latin for remember that you will die. The Stoics kept this thought close, not as morbidity, as medicine. Marcus Aurelius writes, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." He also writes, "Perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense." When you truly absorb the fact that this moment, right now, reading these words, will never come again. When you truly understand that the morning you are living right now is a morning that future you, on some last morning, would desperately want to have back. The past loses its grip, the future loses its terror, and this moment becomes luminous. Not because everything in it is perfect, but because it is real, it is now, and it will not come again. Seneca writes one of the most beautiful passages in all of ancient philosophy about this. He says that life is divided into three parts: the past, the present, and the future. The past is certain but cannot be changed. The future is uncertain and has not yet arrived. But the present is so brief that it can hardly be grasped. He writes, "Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est." Everything else is alien to us. Time alone is ours. And yet he observes with devastating clarity, this is the one thing we give away most carelessly. We give it to distractions, to worries, to other people's priorities, to the noise of a world that has no interest in your flourishing. When you say, "This moment is enough, I release the past and refuse to fear the future," take 3 full breaths. On the first, let go of something from yesterday that is still clinging to you. On the second, release a worry about tomorrow. On the third, arrive fully in the present. Feel the weight of your body, the temperature of the air, the reality of being alive right now. You are here, this is enough, begin. Line 5. My purpose is not comfort, it is contribution. We have reached the line that separates those who live philosophically from those who merely talk about it, because it asks the question that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. What am I actually here for? The Stoics had a concept called oikeiosis, roughly translated as familiarization or appropriation. It describes the way in which Stoic philosophy expands the circle of what you consider yours. At first, what feels like yours is narrow: your body, your immediate desires, your family. But as you develop philosophically, the circle widens. Your community becomes yours, your city, your civilization, humanity as a whole. Marcus Aurelius, who could have justified the most extreme self-interest as emperor, writes repeatedly about his duty not just to Rome, but to humanity. He writes, "What injures the hive injures the bee." He writes, "We were born for cooperation, as were the feet, the hands, the eyelids, the upper and lower rows of teeth." He writes, "A man's life is a mere moment, his existence a flux, his perception clouded, his body's composition corruptible. What then can guide a man? One thing and one thing only: philosophy." And what does philosophy teach ultimately? That you are not the center of the story. Here is something counterintuitive that the Stoics discovered. The more intensely you focus on your own happiness, on your own comfort, pleasure, reputation, security, the less of it you experience. And the more you focus on contribution, on excellence, on doing your work well in service of something larger than yourself, the more contentment arrives, uninvited and unexpected. This is not a paradox. It follows logically from Stoic principles. Because the Stoics defined eudaimonia, often translated as happiness but better understood as flourishing, not as a feeling, not as an emotional state, but as a way of functioning. You flourish when you are functioning as a fully realized human being, using your reason, living by your values, contributing to the whole of which you are a part. Happiness is not something you find. It is something that happens as a byproduct of living virtuously. I want to tell you about Epictetus in more depth, because his life is one of the most powerful arguments for this line. He was born a slave, not a metaphorical slave, an actual slave, property of a man named Epictetus in Rome. His master, apparently to test him, or simply out of cruelty, once broke Epictetus's leg by twisting it. Epictetus said calmly, "You will break it." It broke. He said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" He was later freed and became one of the most influential teachers in the ancient world. He founded a school. Emperors sent their sons to study with him. Marcus Aurelius absorbed his ideas through his teacher Rusticus. Now consider, what would it mean for a man who began life as property, as a thing, not a person, to center his philosophy on comfort? It would be absurd, impossible, meaningless. Epictetus understood from the most brutal school imaginable that comfort is not in your control and therefore cannot be your purpose. What is in your control? What remains when everything external is stripped away? Your character, your choices, your contribution to the moment you are in. That is what Epictetus built his life on, and it produced a man so internally free that a Roman senator's son envied his peace of mind. When you say, "My purpose is not comfort, it is contribution," ask yourself one question: who am I serving today and how? Not in a grand world-changing sense, not necessarily. Maybe it's the colleague you'll encourage, the family member you'll be fully present for, the work you'll do with genuine care rather than just going through the motions. Find it, name it, orient toward it. Line 6. Everything I love is borrowed, I will hold it gently. This is the most difficult line, not because it is complicated, but because it touches the thing we most want to ignore: loss. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The idea was simple and radical. Every morning, or regularly throughout your life, you deliberately contemplate losing the things you love. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your life itself. This sounds morbid. In our culture, it sounds almost pathological. We are trained to avoid thinking about loss, to focus on the positive, to manifest, to affirm, to envision the best case. But the Stoics argued that this cultural reflex is precisely what makes us fragile. When you never contemplate losing something, you unconsciously begin to believe it is permanent. You begin to take it for granted, and you build your emotional architecture on the assumption of its continued presence. And then, when it is taken, as everything eventually is, you collapse. Not because the loss is inherently unbearable, but because you were never philosophically prepared for it. Marcus Aurelius had 13 children. Most of them died before him. He lost children to disease, to the brutal randomness of ancient medicine, to fates he could not control, even with the resources of the most powerful empire on earth. And yet, in his meditations, written during his military campaigns, as he dealt simultaneously with war, plague, political treachery, and personal grief, there is a remarkable quality of equanimity. Not coldness, not suppression, but a deeply lived acceptance of impermanence that he had cultivated deliberately over decades. He writes, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." He writes, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, and do so with all your heart." Notice, love with all your heart. This is not detachment. This is not the Stoic cliché of cold, emotionless endurance. This is the courage to love fully, knowing that every love is held under the condition of loss. Epictetus gives one of the most powerful philosophical exercises ever articulated. He says, "When you kiss your child goodnight, whisper to yourself, 'Tomorrow you may die.' When you embrace your wife, tomorrow she may be gone. When you sit in your favorite chair, in your comfortable home, tomorrow this may be ash." This sounds terrifying, but Epictetus is not teaching you to live in fear. He is teaching you to live in gratitude so acute it borders on grief. Because the person who genuinely understands that their child could be gone tomorrow does not take the bedtime kiss for granted. They are fully present for it. They feel it completely. The awareness of impermanence is not the enemy of love. It is its deepest fuel. Many people recognize the concept of impermanence from Buddhist philosophy. And yes, the parallel is real. The Buddha taught anicca, impermanence, as one of the fundamental truths of existence. But the Stoics arrived at the same place through a different path. Through reason, through the observation of nature, through the careful examination of what endures and what does not. Both traditions reached the same conclusion. Suffering is amplified, not by loss itself, but by the gap between what we expected to be permanent and what actually is. Close that gap, not by loving less, but by loving with open hands. And you suffer less. Not because you feel less, but because you expected this. When you say, "Everything I love is borrowed," I will hold it gently. Think of 3 things you love that you have been taking for granted. A person, your health, a capacity you have. Feel the weight of their potential absence, and then go toward them today with more fullness, more gratitude, more presence than you would have otherwise brought. This is not pessimism. This is the deepest form of love. Line 7. I do not just accept my fate, I love it. We have arrived at the summit. Amor fati. 2 Latin words, the love of fate. Not the acceptance of fate, not the endurance of fate, the love of it. This is the most radical idea in Stoic philosophy, possibly the most radical idea in all of philosophy. And if you can genuinely embody it, not just say it, but live it, it will make you virtually undefeatable. What is amor fati? Marcus Aurelius writes, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." He is describing a quality of character that transforms rather than merely endures. Not, "I can tolerate this," not even, "I accept this," but, "I will use this, I will transform this, I will make something extraordinary out of exactly this." Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by Stoicism, coined the phrase amor fati in the 19th century, but the concept is pure Stoic. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendacity in the face of what is necessary, but love it. Love what is necessary. not despite its difficulty, because of what it makes possible. Marcus Aurelius writes, and this may be the single most practical piece of philosophy ever recorded: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle, every setback, every failure, every loss contains within it the specific material needed to build the specific version of yourself that could not have been built any other way. The betrayal teaches you discernment. The failure teaches you humility. The loss teaches you gratitude and presence. The hardship teaches you strength you could not have developed in comfort. There is no version of your best self built on a frictionless path. The best possible you is built from exactly what has happened to you. I need to address a common misunderstanding. Amor fati is not fatalism. It is not passivity. It is not resignation. It does not mean whatever happens is fine. I have no agency. I will simply receive. It means something far more active. Whatever has happened is now the material I am working with, and I will work with it completely, enthusiastically, without reservation. The runner who twists their ankle can resent it, resist it, rage against it. Or they can say, "This is my reality today. What is the finest thing I can build from this?" The Stoic chooses the second, not as a coping mechanism, as a philosophical commitment to wringing every drop of excellence from every circumstance, regardless of how that circumstance arrived. Return one final time to Epictetus. This man was a slave, and from that condition, which most of us would consider the absolute negation of everything worth loving, he built a philosophy of complete internal freedom. He did not hate his condition. He did not merely endure it. He used it to understand, more clearly than any free man could, what true freedom actually is. Freedom, Epictetus taught, is not the absence of chains. Freedom is the inner sovereignty that no chain can reach. Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life. This is amor fati, from a man who had every reason to curse his fate. He loved it because it made him exactly who he needed to be. When you say, "I do not just accept my fate, I love it," think of the hardest thing in your life right now, the thing you most wish were different, and ask, what is this making me capable of? Not, why is this happening to me? But, what is this making me capable of? Find that answer. Love the transformation it requires. Here are your 7 lines together as a morning practice. Say each one deliberately, not quickly, not as a checklist. Take 30-60 seconds with each line. Think it, feel it, mean it. Line 1. I am the author of my reactions. Nothing outside me has power unless I grant it. Line 2. I will guard my attention as my most finite resource. Line 3. I choose voluntary difficulty. I am not made for ease, I am made for excellence. Line 4. This moment is enough. I release the past and refuse to fear the future. Line 5. My purpose is not comfort, it is contribution. Line 6. Everything I love is borrowed. I will hold it gently. Line 7. I do not just accept my fate, I love it. Let me tell you what happens when you actually do this. Not for a day, not for a week, but when you build these 7 lines into the architecture of your mornings, day after day, month after month, year after year, you begin to notice something strange. The things that used to devastate you stop devastating you. Not because the hard things stop happening, they don't, but because you have been training every single morning to respond rather than react, to direct rather than drift, to face difficulty not as a victim but as a practitioner. You begin to notice that the people who seem unshakable are not unshakable by nature. They are unshakable by practice. They have said words like these every morning until the words became beliefs, and the beliefs became instincts, and the instincts became character. Marcus Aurelius was not born calm. He trained himself through decades of daily practice to be the kind of man who could govern an empire, grieve his children, survive plague and war and betrayal, and still write in his private journal with the equanimity of a man at peace. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is what the 7 lines are building every single morning. Not a mood, not a feeling, a character. Not who you were when you woke up today, who you are capable of becoming if you never stop choosing. One morning at a time, one line at a time, one deliberate, courageous, voluntary choice at a time. Marcus Aurelius, 2,000 years ago, in a tent on a military campaign, wrote one final instruction to himself. It applies to you, right now, this morning. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. If these ideas have changed something in you today, even slightly, share this with someone who is fighting their own morning war. Because the best thing philosophy can do is not stay in one mind. It is meant to travel. As Seneca wrote, philosophy promises above all common sense, humanity, and fellowship. We are in this together. See you soon.